Hey, thanks for jumping into the weekend rewind. We are rewinding a long, long way. This is, I think it was like episode 4 of the First Time Facilitator podcast. So we're talking 2018, Leanne. But this was a really great conversation I had around, and probably the first time I sort of realized how powerful visual communication is, not only to communicate a point. I think we all understand, that phrase, a picture tells 1,000 words, but for things like conflict resolution. And so my guest today, Marcel van Hove, we spoke about the benefits of it, how you can get better at it. It's a fascinating conversation, and I'm still trying to build my skill in this area, how many years later? Anyway, enjoy the episode and I'll speak to you tomorrow. I'd like to introduce you to our guest, who believes that a group of people drawing together on a whiteboard can solve complex problems and change the world. He's on a secret mission to bring visual thinking, visual facilitation, and storytelling back to every human on Earth. He's a co-founder, visual facilitator, and agile coach at Visual Friends. And he's on the line all the way from Germany. Welcome to the show, Marcel van Hove. How are you going?
Thank you very much. I'm going very well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for joining us.
What a great introduction. Thanks for that.
Hey, I think the introduction works really well because your mission is really unique, believing that people drawing together can change the world. Tell us a bit about yourself and how you ended up in the world of not only facilitation, but visual facilitation.
Yeah, so going back a couple of years, I worked in maybe go even one step further. I have been a geek, a software guy my whole career. I've studied information technology and all those things. But then over time, I learned that I really prefer to work with people and to facilitate meetings. And with the agile movement, I think I got exposed to in 2003. I became an agile trainer very soon, Scrum Master and agile coach in 2008, I think. And one day, I think it was one of our tuning days, which is like a get-together of the whole company in Hamburg, one of the co-founders came back from a training, and that was a training at Neuland with the Bikablo Academy, which we train today in Australia. And we just looked at him. He explained Scrum to us in a stick figure drawing, and we just couldn't believe what we were seeing, because we would never expect that this number guy could finally surprisingly draw like a pro. That was amazing.
That is amazing. Yeah. So I guess a lot of people, maybe your colleagues as well in that room, would have seen it and been, pretty stunned and surprised by how amazing this technique was. What led you to then pursue it further and say, well, I actually want to learn this and I want to teach other people? Did you know straight away, or did you have to go think about it, or did it come back a few years later? How did that all work?
From the minute I saw it, I knew that this would be the thing I want to do going forward. It was so amazing, and because one of the principles in agile, agile way of working, for example in Kanban, is that you visualize your work, and you should visualize all the policies, and this is mean by drawing it up on a flip chart paper and put it up on a wall that everyone can see it, so it actually radiates information back to you. You can't really look away. So this principle is called the visual, like an information radiator. And when we saw him drawing Scrum to us in a 10-minute session live, I knew I want to learn this too. I want to learn this, and I changed. We all went to this training. I think we invited the whole all people on board and just went to this training for 2 days. And I and another couple of people from IT Agile in Hamburg, we stick to it, and we just use this going forward. And whenever I was running then an Agile training, I was, instead of using PowerPoint, using pre-prepared flip charts or drawing live for the people, which created a whole different experience in the training room.
Okay, and in what way did it create a unique experience compared to what you'd done previously?
Well, first, I think when you draw for other people in a nice way, even just a clean, neat handwriting, it shows that you value their lifetime, that you value their time to be in a training room with you, that you show a bit of respect that they share with you time. And the other thing is that it's actually very handy. You can rip off the flip chart page, put it there on the wall, and when the conversation comes back, let's say to Agile manifest or values, you can point to this flip chart that you draw there and say, well, what are you referring to? Is this one or that one? With PowerPoint, you press spacebar and the slide is gone and you have to go back. And so what happens in an Agile environment is that you load up the room with all the information needed. That's not new. That is known like from Cape Canaveral shooting a rocket to the moon, where you have like these big monitors giving you all the information you need around in the room. In software teams, it's a marker and a piece of paper. That's enough, or a whiteboard.
So I'm really curious, how quickly did you pick up this skill? And were you channeling anything from your childhood in that you loved being artistic? Or do you think that even if you weren't artistic as a kid, this is something that you could get better at?
Yes, I absolutely have no artistic skills whatsoever. Like as I said in the beginning, I'm an IT guy. I can, program a bit, and then people put me away from the keyboard because I destroy more than I could do well. But really, I'm not a creative person. It's a craft I learned over the years from Martin Hausmann, from the Bikablo guys in Cologne. And then when I moved to Australia, I asked the guys, hey, would you like if I start translating and do it in Australia?
You mentioned that what it does, and I saw this in one of your videos, what it does is by drawing on a piece of paper, you're kind of directing a conversation to that page and not at the person, particularly in complex situations where you're trying to solve a problem. It kind of, would you see it as disarming, or then it doesn't get personal because you're both just talking to a piece of paper that can't argue back? Is that the main premise behind this?
So this is one of the strongest reasons why visualizing together is so powerful and improves the collaboration so much. First, exactly as you just said, like you point to the wall, and this is not, you can do this exercise where you stand opposite of each other and you just say, you repeat again. I learned it from a guy who does service design thinking, and you repeat like, this is crap, and the other person shouts at you in the same time, directly opposite of each other. If you repeat that, it becomes actually very quickly like, this is shit, and you repeat this back and forth, and it becomes very, very aggressive even if you're like in a very happy mood a second ago. So that's very surprisingly. And when you do the same again, pointing towards a wall where you imagine a whiteboard, and you do repeat the same exercise, you look at this wall and just say, this is shit, and the other person says, yeah, this too. What happens is you just laugh at the wall. You just look at it and see, yeah, it's just the wall. It's just an idea. So this same happens when you draw with people on a whiteboard. Like I had this experience when I worked at MYOB, for example, as an agile coach. I had situations where they were struggling to figure out how to best build APIs, like interfaces to talk like two systems to each other. And they had like strongly disagreements in how they can best do it. Just by drawing them up, just by visualizing on a whiteboard, it became instantly like a collaborative stand-up meeting with everyone drawing together and scratching out, and it was amazing. You could walk away as the coach and just leave them alone after 5 minutes. Normally it would have been like a conflict management situation where you had like a workshop where you hold your hands and learn to be nice to each other. But you could really like see that this just the setup of how you draw in a stand-up mode on a whiteboard or flip chart changes the whole situation. And another, like on that, even more, we actually learn faster. When we listen to someone, we learn what. In the same time, when you use all four modalities, like your auditorial, your visual, because you see it, and when you have then something in your hand, you have this kinesthetic experience. And depending on who's in the room, people learn differently, and they understand the other person like faster through that, just by like finding their way to understand. If they need to draw something up to get an understanding, they can do it, and not. Like otherwise, only the speakers and listeners in the meeting are the powerful people.
Yeah. I'm just reflecting on meetings that I've been to in my corporate history as well. And I I guess sometimes when you explain something to someone, you've got a very clear idea of what that looks like in your head, and you don't understand why they don't understand it either, because I guess our perceptions and beliefs and everything else that make us who we are create that idea of what it looks like in our own heads, and we assume that everyone else has that same idea. So it can be frustrating when you try to explain that. You think you're being very clear, and like, why are they not picking this up? But I can quickly understand then, if you were to draw it very quickly, you go, oh, I get it. I can almost see myself nodding as they're drawing, because when I can see it illustrated, it just makes more sense, and I can see where they're coming from.
Absolutely. And I actually can add a little game to it, which we often run to introduce visual thinking in the meetup that we have around Australia. And the thing is, like, imagine the following three things: a dog, a cat, and now a mouse. Mm-hmm. So now I draw them in front of you. I draw a dog, I draw a cat, but now I draw an old school computer mouse. So I had biased you with the first two animals, and you were assuming that the last one is a mouse animal as well. But it is actually, when you draw, we were like going down this path and then assuming that the next idea is related to that, but it wasn't. It was a new thought that comes from a different context. And only if you visualize together, you actually can see that there's where this misunderstanding appeared. So there's a very simple example, but in complex problem solving, this is very often the case, that you just have a discussion around some, as I said before, like some interfaces, some APIs, some like technical stuff, and then another person says something, and it's not the same idea.
Yeah, definitely. I think you start questioning all those assumptions, because it's clear to see. I mean, yeah, if I ever go to one of your workshops and you do that dog, cat, and mouse thing, I'll probably pass the test. But
one thing I want to clarify: it's not my workshop, right? Like it's very important to say that Bikablo is around for more than 10 years, and it started in Cologne by a couple of guys, and I only have helped to translate it partly, and I probably have opened up the market since the last 4 years in Australia and New Zealand. But the training, it has been proven for over 10 years, and it's like evolves over and over again. Through now over 30 trainers around the world. So we are just 4 trainers right now in Australia, and running trainings, but the group is even bigger. We have a Skype gathering tomorrow, for example, where we get together and talk about different trainings that have been run in Japan, in Singapore, in US was a tour last year. So the Bikablo group is actually a much bigger group of people. So the Visual Friends is just Australia and New Zealand. That's one thing. But I'm very grateful and thankful for this training. I learned oh my gosh, that's over almost 10 years ago as well.
Wow. There's a lot of good things that come out of Germany, I guess. I'm a big fan of the Thermomix too.
Well, I thank you for that, but I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions about German engineering. That might be true for Bikablo, but if you want a real precision, you go to Switzerland.
That's good to know. So the word Bikablo, so that for our audience, that's spelled Bikablo. What does that word actually mean?
It actually is like 3 syllables put together of 3 German words, which is Bilder, Karten, Block. And if you take the first syllables of those words and put them together, it's Bikablo. And if you translate those 3 words like Bilder, Karten, Block, it means picture, card, pad. And this is like what it was, the first product. It was like some pictures with a description, let's say a finish line, and you see there underneath is the word goal or deadline. And those pictures were like mounted together to a pad with so you had like a visual dictionary, like words to pictures, let's say that. And this one was the Bikablo one, which is around for over 10 years as well. And it was like the first product that the guys from the Bikablo Academy created.
Interesting to know that it's sort of based on an acronym of some German language, picture, card, pack. That's easy to remember.
Yeah.
So we spoke about visual facilitation, helping you disarm it in terms of a conflict resolution. What else are the positives in terms of meetings? What other outcomes can it drive?
One of the things is that I struggled with, or I noticed that a manager struggles with. He only has the tool of PowerPoint, and created like I have seen this so many times, like he created a restructuring, for example. It was his announcement, but it wasn't an announcement. It was his draft, and he wanted to have feedback. But because he put it in PowerPoint, it looked almost like locked in.
Yeah.
And because he used the corporate templates, it looked like even better and cleaner, and that created like stress or conflicts because the people wanted to have a input in that restructuring of the department, for example. And when you do the same with post-its on a flip chart, and you present the same information maybe on a flip chart on a whiteboard, maybe you bring a pre-prepared poster along with gaps in it, and you just have a very nice headline, and it's like restructuring for this department, and then you put post-its underneath. The people are much more open to say, can I make a suggestion? And then you might take this post-it off the wall and just rip it apart and say, should be half here and half there, and we don't need this team because it's not a feature team or something. Yeah. So if you see the same thing in a PowerPoint, it feels like it's a written book. You can't change this thing anymore. This is dangerous because the good people with the strong brain might stop adding an idea to that, which is like the sugar coating on the top, which makes this idea, this draft, awesome.
The image of the professional image of that information shared, even just by looking at it, without even looking at the detail, you've already sort of assumed in your head, well, yeah, interestingly enough, that this is locked in. Whereas if you bring a piece of paper and you're working through and talking through the decisions that are being made, I can absolutely see why there'd be an opportunity in that room to sort of lift up your hand and be more confident to say something.
That it's more human because you bring more to the table of yourself. If you have this polished PowerPoint deck, it's very neutral of any emotions. But if you bring your own handwriting and write something on a whiteboard in a neat handwriting, it has to be look neat. Otherwise, it's like, why you're not using the PowerPoint? And I suggest you bring in a flip chart paper or a poster that is pre-prepared, because then you don't lose time. If you bring that, it is like, oh my God, did you do that for us? This is so nice. So you show yourself. So it's like if you think of an iceberg, you lower the water level and you see who you are a bit more, which gives the people a chance to connect better with you. And if you just see a polished PowerPoint deck, it's just, there's no personality and this is just the corporate look of you, and which is very boring often.
I'm already sold on this idea, to be honest. I think I've got a few meetings tomorrow, so I'm going to give it a go. But on the note of, you mentioned, you need to have really neat handwriting. I'm a very quick, messy handwriter normally, and in front of a classroom, when I'm delivering a workshop, I'm left-handed too. So a lot of the time I'm scrubbing out my own writing, and it just, when I look back at it later, I'm thinking, how did anyone even read that? Is there a solution for that? How can I make my handwriting better?
First, like left or right-handed is not an advantage, disadvantage. For example, Martin Hausmann, who started Bikablo, is left-handed as well, and he has a very neat handwriting when he works for people. On the flip side, I have seen his handwriting, and my own handwriting is not nice when we write for ourselves. So I have two handwritings. This is like two modes. I have a handwriting for others, and I have a handwriting for taking visual notes, and it's probably worse as my doctor's that I go for.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, first, slow down. If there's one thing you can do, it's like slow yourself down. But of course, like not to a point that the people look at you and say, what are you actually doing here? Yeah, so it has to be like maybe some bullet points you write neat, and then underneath you still keep this fast handwriting. Another thing you can actually think of is, why are you running this workshop? What would happen if you stand at the back of the room? Yeah, which is actually a technique. And you stand there and let the people work, and you facilitate the meeting only. So that means probably instead of you write, the person who said it writes a neat post-it. If you hand out big post-its like a A5 size, which is like a half a normal paper, right? So it's like if you hand out this and a big marker, actually everyone can read it from 5 to 10 meters away. So, and then it brings back this task to everyone to write neat. And then you have this agreement that you actually should slow down and wait for Steve a second, who writes this post-it. Yeah. And then you put it up and read it out again. Thanks for your contribution. A great idea. And you are just a person basically like hanging up the washing, hanging up post-its on the wall in front. So it's not magic. And you actually can do that and ask someone else, hey, could you maybe or maybe yourself come to the front and present your idea. So you make everyone write, that you don't have to rush, because if 50 people shout at you what you should write down at the same time, of course you have to be like very fast writing. So there are two ideas I have on that.
Yeah, and they're very practical tips that I hadn't really thought about, but I think it's really good for a couple of reasons. One, it gives ownership to the person suggesting the idea, which is quite nice, and then also just an engagement strategy in that they're actually moving around, posting something, but also that the facilitator doesn't have to do everything. It can be shared within the room. So yeah, really great techniques there.
Maybe one thing, like if you do that for the first time, that you change from a normal like PowerPoint meeting to a more participative post-it or whiteboard-driven meeting with flipchart paper, and you have those things, like have someone in the room who backs you up. This is this classical first follower. You need to have someone who validates that your new approach is okay for the team. That would be very helpful. And my suggestion is it should not cost more time than the PowerPoint deck. So pre-prepare all those things. Like you have, for example, the slide deck you had before, but now you bring it in as a flipchart paper pad and have some sticky tape or blue tack ready, not a roll. You have sticky tape ready, cut it off so that you can do just 1-2 click and to the wall. And you refer to that information and then you move on. So the people actually, you automatically put out stress in your system. You don't let the people wait so long. So it's all about handling paper. And for me, like the next step will probably be that you ask the people to join in. Like, can you take off the paper and hang it over there? So if the people agree to that and help you, because it's natural to every human being who grew up in Australia, particularly, I would say, it's like helping others is very clear to us. I then just ask the people to help, and what you create just by running the meeting is a team. It just comes as a side effect that you create a team. You start directly into forming a new team just for this meeting, but they will laugh together when the flip chart falls down, or like is not like they can't rip off sticky tape or so. You just have those moments of fun together, and everyone helps each other. So if you can do that, I have done this with senior leaders. I have done this in big corporates, and they're all human, so it's all good. I think we overestimate or overthink the meetings in general, that they are so difficult or something.
Okay, so you did on your website, you mentioned that you also do visual summaries at events, and from what I can tell, they're like those, there are a lot of videos like that on YouTube where they're explainer videos for concepts or different things, and it's in really quick, the guys just drawing on the whiteboard. And is that actually what you do at big events?
So the graphic recordings, let's say at a conference roundtable or something, yes, that's amazing. That makes actually a lot of fun to record them. You learn so much as a graphic recorder. You listen to the conversations, to the talk, and you have the honor to summarize it on a big sheet of paper on stage or on an iPad, and people can watch it on a data projector, or you print it out on cards afterwards. We have all done all those things.
Yeah, that's such a cool way to, I guess, get your participants engaged in the conference as well. As the person drawing, how do you pick out what concepts to actually put on the board? I'm sure there's lots of ideas going around the room at different times. How do you know which concepts to focus in on?
Yeah, you learn that over time. Like we train it actually, we practice it on the second day of the training of the Bikablo basics, where we focus on finding the right keywords. So my first suggestion would be, don't write down capability or capability uplift. That's not an insight. Like add a verb to the term, and voila, you have a full sentence. So we need to uplift our whatever drawing skills. That's something meaningful.
Yeah.
And otherwise it becomes a buzzword bingo in speech bubbles. So make sure that when you capture something, that you have a real information there on the whiteboard and not just one word. And you just need to let go. Like we compare it in Bikablo with a diver who goes down diving under the water. Like, you are from Brisbane, you probably know it very well. Like I have been diving on the Great Barrier Reef near Cairns, and when you go down there, it's a different world. It's very silent. You have the world, all this noise, whatever happens on LinkedIn, you don't care anymore. You just are there with yourself. And the same is true for drawing. So when you hear on stage an amazing insight, you need to say, okay, I capture that. I make this decision, which is like this moment of going down underwater. And then from there on, you write this down in a neat handwriting, and you will miss out while you are in this drawing mode, or in relation to that, like underwater, all this noise that goes around. And then you come back up and you listen again to the conversation that happens on stage, and you find the next thing you would like, the next duel you would like to capture, and then you go down again and be with your marker alone for a moment. So, of course, this up and down, like this mode, very professional graphic recorders, they swap instantly, and over time you practice and your like short-term memory improves. But like I think in the beginning, you just need to relax and just let go that you will not capture everything, and that's okay.
Yeah, so I like your analogy of going underwater and I guess being in the zone. But I want to talk to people that are fairly new to this skill, and probably when they start drawing, they're not in the zone yet. And I love that you wrote a LinkedIn article with the following title, Why Start Drawing Today and Become a Visual Facilitator Tomorrow. So how can you promise that people that come into your 2-day workshop walk out with those artistic skills? How does that work?
Oh, they don't learn any artistic skills. They learn a craft. And I promise it, or we, like the Visual Friends, we promise it because it happened to all of us. Like every trainer of us, like as I said before, like when I went to this training, I knew like I can draw now. And I was thinking like I can't draw. When we visualize, we always put the words first. We have a black colored outliner to write the words first. Then we add an icon to it, which is step 2, and then we frame it with a nice speech file, which we call containers. Then with that, we overlap with other shapes, which brings and holds information together. And through that, you create like this mind map feeling, or you create a timeline along this, and you see where this conversation went. And those things you actually can learn because you can just follow a template where this is already solved. So it's like a writing. We compare it with writing sentences. In the morning, you learn how to hold a pen. That's like the step 1 thing. And we will not move on until everyone knows how to draw a line. And this is how simple we start. And through that, we basically go one gear up over next step. And after day 1, they often take a picture of what they did and say, coming back the next morning, it's like my wife or my husband can't like don't believe that I did this. So it's like we once had a guy in the training who did like we call this in the afternoon the celebration piece of day 2, and he did a drawing actually after day 1, like we have on both days the celebration piece, and he took a picture of that, like he visualized the process of how he met his wife, an amazing very nice and funny drawing with stick figures how he met his wife. And he actually put this on his WeChat because he was from China. And he got like over 100 replies from his whole big family telling him how amazing this is that he drew this for his wife. And they all didn't got the point that it was actually in a training done.
Oh my gosh.
They all expected that. Yes. And he was like so happy with that at the end. And it was like, for me, it was like, this is cool. So you can use it actually for not only for meetings. Like for me, it's like a skill. Like where would you use another language? You can use when you speak French. I don't actually, but like if you speak another language, you can use it in every context, right? It's a lifelong skill, and this is also true for all the visual facilitators that teach Bikablo around the world. They come from different areas. Some are working like Martin Ruckert or I. We work in agile coaching, but others work in psychology and use it for family therapy or for visual coaching. So it's very diverse, and you can use this language for whatever you need it for.
I think if I ever did come to a workshop, I wouldn't want to tell anyone. I'll just go, like, I'm going away for a couple of days, and then maybe a month later bring out this amazing drawing as part of a workshop and just receive all the love.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like having a secret kind of superpower. What kind of participants do you get at your workshops? They come from all sort of industries and different roles, just facilitators, project managers? Who are they?
Yeah, so they come from all directions, and it's for me often hard to understand, like, how did you actually hear about it, like in the first time? But like I think there are some groups of people. So I think one strong group of people, just because we have this network in the tech industry, are probably business analysts. They participate to a huge percentage in it. Another one are consultants and facilitators, trainers who use this to replace it's not replacing, by the way, it's like using as well, right? Replacing PowerPoint. So having like a different way of conveying the message. And then surprisingly, a lot of people from HR, like, just see it as they want to present their ideas in this way. And like in general, every leader, manager, facilitator, which is for me today the same. Like a good leader is a facilitator. And actually, while I say this list, it's actually very not true, because they come from all directions. And I'm very happy about this, because you actually bring very diverse group of people together in a training, and those people would not have met before, like in any other way. They're not from the same industry. In general, completely mixed. It's very nice.
Now, looking ahead to the future, what projects are you working on now or in the short term?
Yeah, so for us, 2018 is about like onboarding, like having a couple more people, because we have so much demand in the trainings that we bring like 2 more trainers on board, and we probably with that reach now enough momentum that we bring the whole Bikablo curriculum over from Europe, which is like 4 different trainings that we that belong to the Bikablo curriculum, which is like meeting facilitation, it's visual consulting, it's visual storytelling, and it's graphic recording. And those 4 subjects are in itself a 2 days training. But like compared to Germany, where we train like over 2,000 people every year, it's we don't have this like step 2 yet. And I hope for 2018 that we have more advanced trainings. And for me personally, I enjoy producing a podcast like you as well, and doing like bringing people together and building the visual friends, like as a team of people. We enjoy working together, and just uniting a nice group of trainers to work together. That's my biggest goal. My main like job, which is like I'm a father at home, and I'm very happy with that. Like I take care of our little son, Liam, who's now 7 months old. Most of the time you might hear him in the background. And this is my goal for 2018, bringing a group of trainers, bringing the visual friends closer together, and growing the market, growing like Bikablo in Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, well, congratulations on your growth, and I guess for being able to scale it in such a way that you can kind of let it run in Australia and New Zealand while you got your family back in Germany. That's really exciting. Well done on that.
Yeah, and this is like something that is only possible because it's such a systematic approach. Like if you learn Bikablo from Martin or from John or from our other trainers who come on board, it's not different to when I run a training. So it's actually a very scalable model that can be rolled out across a company, similar to like the Scrum framework or SAFe or LESS or Kanban or something. Because for me, it's important that you don't see it as a skill that one person has and he's like this craft or this artist. It's just another skill under your belt, and you can just learn it in 2 days.
Now, finally, Marcel, where can people find you?
So I think when you are in Australia, the best website would be visualfriends.com. Mm-hmm. You just go over to the website and follow us on Instagram or LinkedIn or Twitter. And if you're in Europe, you go to bikablo.com, like bikablo.com, and that's the website of the head of the Bikablo Academy. We run like monthly trainings in all major cities around Australia, and we are very happy to finally have our first Auckland training locked in and confirmed in a couple of weeks.
Wow, you're taking over the world, one drawing at a time, it sounds. That's fantastic. Look, I really appreciate your time and all your insights, as well as some practical tips and just hearing about the benefits of drawing things in a meeting and how profound it can be for getting really great outcomes. It's something that I'm going to share with everyone I know, and I hope you're enjoying that German cafe.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. But I actually miss Melbourne coffee right now. It's like one of the hardest things for me over here. It's Melbourne coffee. It's not here.
Maybe that's something else you can move between countries.
Yeah, the other way around.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. Thanks, Marcel.
Right. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that interview. And if you like the content, please share the episode with a fellow first-time facilitator friend, or support the show by subscribing to it, rating and reviewing it in iTunes or your favourite podcast app. See you next time.